My heart is in.
Alright, what's going on, y'all? Tonight is the big fight. Gennady Golovkin against Willie Monroe Jr. Just want to apologize, you guys. I know I haven't been making too many videos, okay? I know when I go a few days, people start hitting me up like, yo, when are you going to do a video on this fight, Sean Porter, Broner? I'm paying attention. It's just that I've been really, really busy, okay? I've been really busy ever since I came back from Vegas, okay? So, now, as far as this prediction video, I actually completed a full video, or almost. I had like 80% done. I did a breakdown of this fight. I never put it out because I did a little something different. I started recording footage of their previous fights, okay? Because this fight, it could be controversial in my opinion. There's a slight chance of that happening. And I wanted to do a real thorough breakdown for this fight, okay? I didn't finish it, but I had it mostly completed. The only reason why I didn't put it out is because ever since I started this channel for about a good year and a half, I haven't had any problems with flags or anything like that. Everything has been smooth for me. I've heard nightmares from other channels about being flagged and stuff like that. I haven't put out any footage, and I haven't had any trouble for not doing it. So that's the reason why I didn't put out the original breakdown that I had, because I just didn't want to get caught up with no drama from, you know, these networks and anything like that. So I didn't put that prediction out because I actually showed a lot of footage from their previous fights. And, you know, I was trying it out and it actually came out pretty good. I just didn't want to get in trouble with that. All right, so let's talk about the fight, okay? Now, I'm going to try to explain this the best way that I could, all right, without everybody going crazy over it. I know it's going to happen anyway because people don't listen. But I do believe Gennady Golovkin is the best at 160. I don't think anyone can beat him, okay? The only few that I can sit here and question are people that are in higher weight classes. But as far as 160 and down, I really don't think anyone can beat him, all right? Unless there's some kind of crazy weight stipulation in there or something. Willie Monroe Jr. is the only guy at 160 that really fights like the way he does, okay? He's the only slick defensive fighter there, okay? He's the closest you're going to get to Gennady Lara at 160, okay? There's a lot of similarities there. There's some difference, especially when it comes to experience. But this is the closest you're going to get to it. You know, Lara has been calling Golovkin now. He actually called him out again recently. He's been calling out Golovkin left and right. Some people wanted to see that fight when he originally did that. I don't think we're going to get that fight. But this is the closest you're going to get to it, okay? Regardless, and I'm not going to get into who's better between Willie and Lara. I'm not doing all of that. It's not really about that here. As far as styles, when I say I think Golovkin can beat everyone, it's because there's nothing that any of these other guys bring. Quillen, Jacobs, Andy Lee, okay, Miguel Cotto. There's nothing that any of these guys bring to the table that would make me feel that Golovkin wouldn't knock him out. I think all of these guys that Golovkin has faced, that the few that he didn't face yet, I think they're all around the skill level. You know, I don't think anyone is elite above everybody except Gennady Golovkin. But this is the thing with Golovkin. Willie Monroe Jr.'s style is a difficult style to beat. It's not a fan favorite style, especially in the way things are today. If you see my video recently, I made a video about Jim Lampley and his non-Gotti list, or, you know, the anti-Gotti list, okay? Willie Monroe is what is perceived to be today as a runner, okay? Obviously, I disagree with that. I'm a big fan of Floyd Mayweather. I'm a big fan of Gennady Lara and Klitschko and a lot of other Rigondeaux, a lot of other extremely technical fighters that people feel that run, okay? Not so much Klitschko, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of people say he clinches and he holds and he leans too much, all right? But anyway, Willie Monroe is a technical fighter. He is a southpaw, a slick style southpaw that kind of adopted that Cuban style of fighting, okay? Um, People have been comparing this fight coming up to Erislandy Lara against Canelo Alvarez, okay? And I guess it's a fair comparison, okay? But the thing is, Canelo and Gennady Golovkin are two totally different fighters. And Golovkin, not only does he have more power, not only is he fight at a higher weight class, but this guy is the best at cutting off the ring. So he has the best style to counter extremely good lateral movement fighter like Willie Monroe Jr., okay? Willie Monroe doesn't have a lot of knockouts. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he has speed, okay? He has great lateral movement, all right? He has good defense, and he's able to mix it up pretty good, more than people respect him for. I remember when this fight first got announced, I seen some articles like on Boxing News 24 that they were bashing Willie and saying that the only reason why he beat Brian Vera was because he was running, okay, which is false to me, okay. I think he hurt Vera a lot more than Vera hurt him. He actually dropped Vera, even though it was a flash knockdown. Vera's a little unbalanced. Willie Monroe did hurt him a few times. Whenever they did engage, Willie was getting the best of anytime they engage and any exchanges between the two. So I think Willie is a very underrated fighter, all right? The only thing is he lacks the experience. He doesn't have the experience. I wish Willie had fought a few of the top guys before fighting Golovkin, okay? Because I like Golovkin. It's not that I want to see him lose or exposed or anything. But I would like to see him challenge, and I don't think any of these guys at 160 really challenges him. I think he would have to really move up in weight, fight Ward, fight Durrell, DeGale, all those guys at 168, or go up to 175, fight Kovalev. I think he would really have to go up in weight to get a real challenge. Just like I think Floyd would have to go up and fight someone that's in a higher weight class to really get challenged. That's how I feel about Golovkin at this point. Now, let's talk about the fight itself. Willie Monroe, like I said, he's a slick southpaw fighter. He's lost to Darnell Boone. There's no footage to that fight, okay? I looked for it. There's no footage. I heard the fight was a very close fight. It was a split decision, okay? I know he got dropped in that fight. That's just about all I know. I really wanted to see that fight, but it's not a bad loss because it was a split decision, okay? It was kind of controversial from what I hear. And Darnell Boone has been in there with all the top fighters from 154 to 175. It's not a bad loss. Plus, I've heard that Willie Monroe Jr. has improved dramatically since that fight. So I don't really have a problem, but I would have liked to see the footage just to see what weaknesses or flaws he might have had in that fight, okay? Now, as far as the Brian Vera fight, because I think that's not all the Boxino fights and all these other fights are not really relevant except the Vera fight. I think that's his most relevant fight that's on YouTube. If you watch the fight, I think Willie outboxed him, and I think he got the better of him the fight with the exchanges, like I said earlier. The only flaws I see in Willie, sometimes he does back himself in the ropes. I don't know if he can keep fighting at a pace where he has to use his legs for a entire 12 rounds. He has to be prepared, and he looks in great shape. I saw the weigh-in. He looks to be in excellent shape. I mean, the guy's physique is there. He can fight for 12 rounds, but stamina. I haven't seen stamina really be an issue for him. But he's gonna be fighting a guy that's gonna be in his face for 12 rounds, okay, with a lot of power. That is very good at cutting off the ring. Golovkin's toughest fight was against Kasim Uma, okay? Uma was a southpaw. Uma had a little bit of slickness in him, He would shoot the straight left and escape, duck under it and escape. and he was very consistent with his punches he landed. The only thing is, he was exchanging with Golovkin, and he took a lot of punishment himself. And it seemed like as much as they both were hitting each other, Golovkin is just more powerful. Okay, he was younger, he was more powerful, and eventually Golovkin was too much for Uma. But it was a very, very competitive fight. What I see in that fight, Golovkin has improved dramatically since that fight as well. All right, you can't really just base everything on that one fight because that fight is kind of old, it's kind of dated now, and I think Golovkin has been improved since that fight. On a defensive and offensively, I think he's just a better fighter at this point. Willie Monroe is going to have to use his legs the entire time. He's going to have to find points at the end. At the same time, he's going to have points where he does kind of engage with Golovkin because he has to gain some type of respect from Gennady Golovkin. He cannot run and move the entire time, okay? And when I say run, I mean use his legs, his lateral movement. I don't really mean actually running, okay? He cannot pop shot the whole fight, okay, because it's going to get old. And Golovkin is going to be in his face the entire time. He has to keep moving, but he has to engage at some points in order to gain Golovkin's respect somewhat, okay? He can fight on the inside. He does let his hands go more than Lara does, okay? He does have very fast hands. Yes, the pot shotting, he's going to have to do it. But it's not going to work for 12 rounds. You know, there's going to be times where he is on the corner. Okay, there's going to be times where he's going to be face-to-face with Golovkin. How is that's going to go? I don't know. But at certain points, he has to keep changing the pace. Okay, he's going to have to engage at times, and he's going to have to move at times and pot shot. Okay, pot shotting, that's going to win him the first couple rounds. I think the first earlier rounds, Golovkin's going to have a little trouble early. I really believe that. A little trouble in the first earlier rounds. I could be wrong, but I think in the earlier rounds, Golovkin is going to have some trouble with Willie's quickness and his lateral movement. Even though he's great at cutting off the ring, he's going to have to keep resetting himself. Willie is going to have to move. He's going to have to move. Even when he engages, he's going to have to keep moving eventually because he doesn't want Golovkin to set himself up and use all of his powers. He doesn't want Golovkin to, he has to keep moving. He has to, and this is another thing. Golovkin has a jab. Unlike Brian Rera, a guy that was just coming forward, not really throwing anything. Golovkin has a very good jab, and he's going to keep Willie busy as well, okay? He's actually going to find good ways of closing the distance. I don't know who has the longer reach, but Golovkin is going to use that jab to help him close the distance between the two, okay? Like I said, I don't think it's possible for Willie to move the entire fight, and I think as the fight goes, it's going to go more into Golovkin's favor, okay? I think the first half of the fight will be a little questionable. That's if obviously Golovkin. I don't expect a knockout from Willie or anything. Let's not get crazy. But I do expect Willie to do very, very well in the first half of the fight. Okay. But I think Golovkin is gonna finally adjust to him. I think Golovkin is just Willie's style is not a fan favorite style, like I said earlier, and the judges might still give Golovkin rounds just from being the aggressor, because he is going to be the aggressor. It's no debating who's going to be the aggressor here. Golovkin is going to be using his jab. Willie needs to use it too. Willie has to stay busy. I hope he has the stamina enough to stay busy and stay active throughout the fight, because it's not going to be a fight if he doesn't. It's not going to be a fight. It's not going to be a fight. But I think he has the best style for Golovkin. I think, me personally, I know Willie doesn't have the record, and, he doesn't have the amount of fights and experience yet, but he has the right style that could possibly give Golovkin problems, because I feel like even though Golovkin hasn't fought a lot of guys, this guy has a style that we haven't really seen Golovkin fight against. And it could give him trouble. It could. So I'm expecting Golovkin to win this fight, either by knockout or by decision. Okay, I think this fight has a better chance of going to decision than any other fight that can happen at 160. All right, and when I say that, I honestly believe that Willie has a chance of surviving this fight. Okay, because he moves so well. Golovkin is never going to have his feet planted well enough to get his power shots off. Okay, um, not until Willie backs himself into a corner. All right. Like I said, Willie looks to be in great shape. Um, Stamina hasn't really been an issue in the fights that I've seen in him in. So I don't expect it to happen here. I know this is his biggest fight of his career, and I expect him to be ready. I expect Willie to be at his best. But Golovkin, I expect him to be at his best as well. I know Golovkin has been probably sparring with guys that move very well leading up to this fight. And I expect him to be prepared. You know, I expect him to be better than that Golovkin that fought Kasim Uma, okay? So, like I said, I think Golovkin's going to win regardless, okay? If there is a stoppage, it's not going to be an early stoppage. But I think Willie has a good chance of finishing this fight and this being the one guy that Golovkin does not knock out, okay, because of his style. I don't think Willie has proven that he is the best or one of the best in the division, but I think his style and the way that he fights will be good enough to possibly survive 12 rounds with Gennady Golovkin, and probably the only guy in 160 that would survive against Golovkin, in my opinion. All right, so that's my prediction. I have Golovkin winning this by decision or late stoppage. I think Willie's going to give him a good fight, okay? I think people are going to leave watching this fight thinking, Golovkin is not really that good, you know, which is false. But people, you know what happens when you're so dominant and you have a trouble. Look what happened to all the other good fighters, Pacquiao, Floyd, whatever. You know, anybody that is an elite fighter like Golovkin is. I think he's an elite fighter. Anybody like him, whenever you don't dominate in a fight, people are always going to walk away from the fight saying, he's overrated. This guy would beat him. This guy would beat him. I think people are going to see Golovkin have some trouble on a mass scale. Not like when he fought Uma or some of the other fighters. But this fight here might be the fight where people say, okay, we see now what Golovkin can have, or how he can have trouble or lose some rounds. He might lose some rounds. All right. But Willie is going to have to engage, because whatever he does, he's going to have to keep mixing up and changing the rhythm, because he doesn't want to become predictable. Okay. So, didn't mean to make the video that long, but I'm going to make a video right now talking about Shawn Porter and Adrian Broner and some other things too. So, be on the lookout for that. And the fight is later on tonight on HBO. So, make sure you watch the fight. All right. Peace.